The Pokemon Company has released a new video showcasing new footage of Scarlet and Violet on Switch 2. I think we've been waiting a long time for this, and apparently this game's running at 60 FPS. And the game footage here is compressed, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
First impressions?
Blown away, honestly. Yeah. Blown high, extremely high on this.
Running through the desert, running around here in the water is, there's so many Pokemon. I almost want to stop and like just count how many Pokemon are here. There's like 20 Pokemon here, 25 Pokemon just like spawned in the wild.
Genuinely, my take is I saw this and I was like, low key, Switch 2 owners are like getting a new Pokemon game day one. That's my take. And let me explain where this is coming from. So I know a lot of people are looking at this video like we are right now through it being reposted online.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar, the source of this video is the Nintendo Today app, Nintendo's new brand awareness app where they publish news every so often. And there's really no way to get the direct feed version of this video other than watching through this app. Yeah. All of this to say that I think when you watch the actual video on the app, it looks almost significantly better than even what you are seeing in these. Yes.
I might have to download this in real time. I don't think I ever downloaded this. Jake is kind of my Nintendo Today app.
That's right. Yeah. That's what people in my Discord say.
You just hit me with the news.
Yeah, when they go, I know when something important is on Nintendo Today because Jake will post about it, and I go, it's true.
All right, here we go. Nintendo. This is not Nintendo Music. This is not Nintendo Switch Online.
No, they have all these different apps.
I never downloaded it. Yeah,
they want to control every part of your life.
Sure, you know, but they won't let you share it online. Okay.
No, they won't.
I'm literally gonna download this. Please continue.
Yeah, of course. So, as I've been saying to people, I think I've been really excited for this Scarlet and Violet Switch 2 update because, as I've said before, there are 3 pillars of Scarlet and Violet. 1, terrible performance. 2, hideous visuals. Yeah. And 3, surprisingly good content. Surprisingly good gameplay elements and ideas. These are the 3 pillars of Scarlet and Violet in my eyes.
Wow.
So the idea...
You said good ideas.
Good ideas, yeah.
And the idea that we are,
I think so. And the idea that we are taking one of these pillar of the game's identity, what this game is known for, I think at its core, and we are, there it is, dude.
Nintendo Today. Yeah, okay.
We are taking that pillar down. To me, this is something that you rarely see in a Pokemon game where you are fundamentally going to shift the legacy, the identity of these games going forward. June 5th, Scarlet and Violet are going to start to quietly turn into something else. Years ago, I took a philosophy of technology class, and something that my professor made clear to me was that everybody thinks that revolutions happen in a second, that they happen really fast. But the truth is that revolutions happen slowly and in the background. Everybody didn't just wake up one day with an iPhone. It happened over time, even though it seemed like that. So what I just want to clock for people is that I think that the reputation, the identity of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are about to start slowly transforming before we even, and we're not even going to know when this identity that we have of it right now, when that is lost to the sands of time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So now to talk about what's actually in the video, I think is really fun because a few things are happening here. One, there's a degree to which the performance issues of Scarlet and Violet, people always complained they made the games less playable. That is the word that they use.
Yeah.
There's something about it. The starting and the stopping, the constant juddering.
I can attest.
Yes, taking you out of the game, feeling like every so often you're waiting for something. And as you can see from these clips, just from the trainers running around, from Koraidon going around in the world here, from Mirai, there's smoothness here. There is something where all of a sudden now, I feel like the game isn't stopping. And I think what contributes to that is that you see these Pokemon populate the open world. And you know what you never notice in any of those clips, even though this is a small sample size? You never notice Pokemon popping up into view.
Wow, they're in the background, Jake.
You
You're
don't
right.
notice them spawning, which is something that you always notice in Scarlet and Violet when you play it. So even that aspect of it, where you're waiting for a Pokemon to spawn, is now they're tamping that down. So there's a degree to which your experience in the world is more contiguous than it was before. The game is more playable. See what I mean?
Yeah, no, this is big. This is big.
Okay.
Because this is it. Because what you're describing is something that, like, and I think why people were so frustrated with Scarlet and Violet. At least I'll speak for myself. When I'm playing Black 2 version, everything is where it needs to be. I'm not seeing a Pokemon until the battle starts, right? Everything is as smooth. There's no loading screens. It's all fluid. It's all fluid. It's slower. It's much slower, but it is fluid. Please.
Then I think now
you're waiting for me.
No, my next point here is that I think that alongside that, the fluidity of play is that what you are seeing. You look at the screen right now. I like what you have it paused on. You're looking at this lake. You're looking at all these Pokemon in this lake, and I think that's something that happens when you roll this clip of the entire 30 seconds that they posted. Is that this gameplay fools you into thinking that the games are more colorful and interesting than they actually are.
Yes, I texted you. You said, check it out, 60 FPS. The first thing my brain is registering is color. And what's crazy is nothing else is changed about this game. There's no new art style. There's the graphics aren't any better.
Nope.
Yeah, wow.
By virtue of making the image sharper and allowing more Pokemon to come on the screen so that there's more moving active elements and different colors all operating at once, and having a higher degree of clarity for seeing things off into the distance, makes you think that the game is more visually interesting than it actually was on Nintendo Switch. Damn. Which is insane. That is your active, like when you're actively playing that game, your, I think, sense of the world and sense of the game is completely different from what we saw on the Nintendo Switch version.
Yeah. I want to be tricked, man.
This looks foreign to me. This clip that is playing.
Veluza,
that is not Scarlet and Violet.
That random Gen 9 Pokemon that was so slow in the overworld just sped at the player. I want to replay this game so bad. And we get to do that, Jake, in 2 days.
I know. And Sharon in the chat asks, but the Mon data gets generated as they spawn. Do we really not see any Mon spawn? Sharon, my point is that it's not about us seeing or not seeing the Mon spawn. We know that the Mon spawn. We know that that's happening.
They're further away. It's happening before we can notice it.
Right. And even if it does happen in front of our faces, I think anybody with eyes can tell you that it is not as obscene and aggressive and obvious as it is in the current version of Scarlet and Violet. Man. It's not about them not spawning or us seeing it or not seeing it. It's about trying to sell you on the illusion of the world. And I think it's really clear that the illusion of this world on Nintendo Switch 2 is a much stronger trick than the one we're seeing before. Yeah,
absolutely. I just wanted to bring up, they did choose to use Psyduck as one of these characters.
He's a star
in the world, really, to depict this new frame rate. This is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So it really, the whole world just comes alive. I feel like something that people always want, right? I feel like an old man, but the promise of Skyrim, I remember the marketing of that was always, the word of mouth marketing was like, you see that thing in the distance? You can actually go there, right? And that meant so much to me, and it stood with me. And that's something that I'm always looking for in these open world games, right? And I look off into this mountain. What is this? The Glaciato Mountain, something like that, in Paldea, right here in this upper left-hand corner. For whatever reason, I don't think the biomes of the Paldea region ever stood out to me. And I'm seeing actually two mountains right now in two different directions, opposite directions, that are actually looking kind of intriguing. Because it's almost as if, because the Pokemon are now visible at a further render distance, it almost encourages me or welcomes me. The game's welcoming me to actually lift my head up and to look further into the world as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if the stuff in your immediate vicinity is more interesting then you build up this assumption that the stuff off in the this
I've been
shot of
depressed.
the-
I've been staring at my shoes for 3 years in this game.
Yeah, and I think that shot of when they're in that little central town.
Yeah.
Listen, I know, since we've played Scarlet and Violet, I know that the world is simply not that interesting.
No.
I already know that.
Yeah.
But the degree to which this shot is trying to fool you into thinking.
It's fooling, Jake. And
Yeah.
the motion is so fluid.
No, I know. It's fooling. That's the thing.
I'm being fooled right now.
Yeah, so I don't know. So listen, will this version of the game have like random frame drops and stuff? I'm sure it will. Is Game Freak gonna botch this somehow? Maybe. but I do think it is undeniable the degree to which this game has been improved by this update, because I just want to make it clear to people that like the amount of you actually have to go in there and do a not insignificant amount of work to make the game's target frame rate different. This is not
Okay, so this isn't just an accident. This isn't just like a
no.
Okay.
No. This is not just the power of the Switch 2 making the game perform better. If that was true, then the game would run at like a locked 30 frames per second. But they went in and they said, no, we're going to do a little bit more than that. We're going to go in, we're going to make the new target frame rate 60. We're going to increase the resolution target. So now it probably on your Switch 2 will run at 4K. And going in and adjusting the values in terms of when the Pokemon spawn in and how far away they spawn in from, it does feel like that they're, and I'm sure we will discover more because Nintendo doesn't like to talk about this stuff specifically, about the content of this patch that makes it a fulfilling and compelling product for what Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is.
Sure.
Frankly, I think that this was probably going to be a $10 upgrade in the same world as like the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom,
Sure.
Legends ZA upgrades. And I think the only reason it's not is because they had to apologize about the performance, and it would seem insane if they charged people for the
A
fix.
better game. Yeah, this is the base game.
Yeah.
This should be the base game.
Yeah. Because from what I can tell, the upgrades here are virtually the same as the upgrades that you're getting with Legends ZA on Switch 2. And they're charging $10 for that.
Yeah.
So
There's no bad will with Legends ZA. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Exactly. And I think that this is a bigger, to be honest, like a bigger gift than people realize. That's
I'm looking forward to it. I do think some people do realize there's been a lot of people who are burned. I got some friends who are going to be streaming this like day one in the hopes that maybe it can actually leave a better impression. I can't help it, Jake. I can't help it, but I'm already thinking like Gen 10 has to look like this, or not look like. I hope it looks a lot better. I hope there's actually some art direction, but like performance-wise, right out the gate, it's got to look at least this good on the Switch 2.
Oh, I mean, listen, we're in a different era now.
Yeah,
we're in a different era now. The circumstances of Scarlet and Violet's launch will never be entirely clear to us, but I think it is fair to say plans changed and a lot of stuff went wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that is fair. And I understand how that happens and why that happens. And I understand the limitations of this stupid big company being like, well, we have to come out with our game. It is what it is. And we can speculate all day on, oh, the Switch Pro was supposed to come out. The Switch 2 was supposed to come. And I find those discussions to be lacking in anything really solid. So what I will say is that I think when you look at Legends ZA, particularly when you look at the Switch 2 version, but I think even the Switch 1 version, I think when you look at the Switch 1 version of Legends ZA, you kind of get a sense of what Scarlet and Violet maybe were supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the closest comparison, but too many things went wrong, too many schedules were shortchanged. But
well, it also seems like Scarlet and Violet, I mean, Scarlet and Violet is a much larger game in scale as well.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Right. It is, it's inherently just a bigger title.
Definitely. And I think they probably were capable of achieving what is happening in Legends ZA in Scarlet and Violet, but they just didn't have the time. But anyways, I say all this just to say that I think that in terms of what is being provided on Switch 2, in terms of what we know as power, what we refer to as power, nothing Game Freak makes is going to really, in a significant way, ever brush up with the maximum capabilities of the Switch 2. It's just not. This is a different ball game. So my position is that when you see Gen 10 on Switch 2, I think 4K 60 is like a given. I wouldn't even worry about that. I don't even think that's a concern. That's not even close to a concern.
Is that something that gets people like up in not up in arms in a negative way? Is that something that can motivate people? Could 4K 60 FPS, is that enough to get people excited to slap that on like a marketing trailer? Is that like a big thing?
Yeah, because you see it already when they reveal the Switch 2 edition of Legends ZA. That's exactly what they said. They said, you want this version because it's running at 4K, 60 frames per second. Yeah. And you go, yes, please.
Yeah. Yes, please. I would like some dinner.
And what's really fun too is that I've been saying this to you for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's it's funny. The Poke Kid in the chat says, I think Scarlet and Violet or ZA are really different. I wouldn't compare them in that way. And I think this shows there's a degree to which people are unfamiliar with development environments because the games are made in the same engine. And just because in your head something is a big open world and that makes it different from the big open city, the technology that's being used to render what's out in front of you and render what's out in the distance is really not that different. It's not. The games are functionally very similar, on like a technical level.
Yeah.
There's
what
they're
doing,
still
more to create, right? There's still more assets that need to be created. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it's like So, anyways, but what's really fun to me. Yeah. What's really fun to me though is that something we haven't really seen yet that I think is going to be really nice that we'll probably see in about a month.
Sure.
Is Legends ZA, that Switch 2 version. How many seconds of footage do we have of that game on Switch 2?
Nothing.
6, maybe.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it is nothing.
Yeah.
And the fact that this 60 frames per second footage of Scarlet and Violet is making me go, whoa, we are in a whole new world. I need to see that next, because you know that next Legends ZA trailer is going to be running.
It's going to be this.
It's going to be running off the Switch 2 version.
That's going to be nice.
And it'll be the first time that we get a trailer for Legends ZA since the Switch 2 edition has been revealed.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to use the better looking version to advertise it, and a full trailer running at a high resolution. I can pull up that YouTube 4K upload and I can watch it at 60 frames per second. Sure. Just watching that game roll, dude. I think that shit's gonna be nice.
The debut of a new Mega Evolution or something, right?
Yeah.
In 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Crazy, dude.